Gonna keep this one short. All right.
Yeah, let's keep it short.
Let's aim for 10 minutes, so that way we can end at an hour
An
and a
hour and
half.
10 minutes. Got it. An hour and 10 minutes sounds good.
Hey, everybody in the internet world. Okay. Ooh, I got a
So
notification.
bright where you are.
Notification. It is bright. It's bright. I'm by the
Turn off the
window
sun.
here.
Turn
Turn
off the
off the
sun.
sun.
Hmm. Oh, if that worked.
Elon's gotta get that installed. I mean, what is
If
he
over
doing up
here
there?
everything went dark, I would have been like, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Not wish for $1 million. Why did I only say $1 million?
All right, let's make sure we're streaming. This is the first time we're streaming on Twitch, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to turn out. Oh, we are on Twitch. Wow, lickety split, lickety split. What'd you
It's
call me,
fantastic. We're not gonna get their questions though, right?
dude,
On the
bruh?
stream.
I don't know. I just put it. I just put it up there. I just never. I don't know.
So if we say Kit Boga 3 times in a row, he shows up, right?
Yeah, Kid
Bottom right
Boga, Kid
corner.
Boga, Kid Boga. Yeah, that's right. And he comes, he'll call you, and he'll put it to scam you. All right.
Let's for the first 5 minutes pretend we're scam baiters, and that way we're gonna get tons of people
Yeah,
on. Just like slide it
yeah,
all over.
yeah. I don't think so. I think we will get comments on Twitch if they comment. All right. How you doing, Tom?
It's a confusing time. I'm in that period in a man's life where he's changing. His body changes and his mind changes. New hormones. Oh, no, that's not me. That's my stepson. Never mind. Sorry. That's that's someone else. I'm vibing another feeling. I'm doing
you're
pretty
going
well actually.
you're going through a sympathetic puberty. Is that it? Uh,
Sympathetic puberty, exactly. Yeah.
right. I am a little bright here. Let me. Actually, I am a little bright. Give me a second. Oh, Tom, tell them. Tell them. Actually, you don't know. Actually,
Well,
hey,
that we're on
Tom,
Twitch.
keep talking. Entertaining.
Sure. Oh my God, we're dropping from 100,000 viewers down to 3,000. Shit, we're at TYT level of viewers now. We're just crumbling. We're just falling into pieces. I mean, if we can't beat Jimmy Dore, like, there's a problem, right? We're gonna take that guy down in views. In views, we take him down.
All right,
I'm telling you,
Alex.
I love seeing him nodding off on the shows. It's like so great. Whenever Matt Rosenthal shows up and starts talking, and it's just like in my mind it montages where it like cuts what he's saying and jumps forward and cuts what he's saying and jumps forward, and Jimmy's just there like ugh.
I don't think he
Trying to
was
stay
nodding
awake.
off, though. I think he's very interested in
Yes.
that topic. I'll tell you that. All
No,
right,
I think
Tom.
he's interested.
Before we continue with this, Alex is asking how to find us on Twitch. It's Happy for a Change on Twitch. So it's a new account just created. It's Happy for a Change over on Twitch. If you want to go over there, you can definitely go ahead and check that out. Tom, sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, he does actually start drifting off. Sometimes Rosenthal
No,
is saying
he
something
does
that
drift.
Jimmy Dore.
You mean in that
Yeah,
segment yesterday's?
no. Well, any segment I've ever seen him with Matt on,
Well, not
he's
when they're talking about Palestine and Israel. Like that, he does it not off there. He's super interested in that topic.
no, he is super interested, but sometimes he's tired and high and drunk,
Yeah.
and he's there, and you can clearly see he's like no. I think yesterday they put them at um, full screen. Max Rosenthal, I can't remember his name. They put him full screen so that you can see Jimmy dozing off.
I gotta go back and
It's
look at
great.
that.
Yeah.
All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. You're watching Jumpstart Live with Peter Hartman and my brother Tom Hartman. I should let you know, Tom Hartman is a web programmer and a marketer. I am an entrepreneur, comedian, and motivational consultant / speaker. Here we are on the internet having a digital salon. What's a salon? Well, Tom will tell you.
It's where you get to eavesdrop on conversations that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see before. It's something that was very popular back in the ancient days before radio and television. And you'd have rich people who would invite, known figures like Terrence McKenna and Alan Watts. They're contemporaries, right? And you can hear them talk. You can hear them talk, and you might be able to chime in a bit. But it's really about listening to two other people talk. So we're not turning this to this comedy show rules, Peter. Stand up comedy rules. All right, we're speaking. And if you find it useful and interesting, well, that's fantastic. If you don't, just keep the app open. Like it's good for the views.
I've got someone commenting OMG. I don't recognize this person. Uh,
It means
Alex,
oh my
oh,
god.
Alex of Canada. It's Alex. OMG. All right. There he is. Alex of Canada. I like that. Thank you very much for explaining Salon. I love that you talk about the time before radio and television as an ancient time. So that's pretty cool. That really frames the way you
The
view the
Dark
world.
Ages.
Ancient,
I mean,
the
that's
Dark
why they
Ages.
call it the Dark Ages, because there was no radio or television.
That
They had
TIL.
like these they had like the system of cans and strings, but they were never very reliable, I hear.
The Intercontinental String Can Communication Network.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it wasn't just your regular string, a regular can. You had to get one from Can Incorporated and String LLC. But yeah, I mean,
it
it worked until it didn't.
worked until it didn't.
And that's what we're going to talk about today: technology and how technology changes. See, I can segue too. I can
That
segue into
works. That
stuff.
works. I was about to do it. Don't worry about it. Today we're talking about living in the exponential age, and the unavoidable wave of tech. We're going to be doing it with aplomb and grace and not spilling my water. Oh my goodness. That would have been a disaster. Tom, wait, just before we got a comment here. I got to read these comments before I post them on screen because you never know what they say.
Sure.
Let's just do it. I haven't know. Who knows? Who knows what it is? All right. We got a Facebook user here. This is probably from our Happy for a Change group. I must be ancient because I don't know what Twitch is. LOL. I should ask my kids. Yeah, definitely. Look, Twitch is a streaming platform. It started out for gaming, but now it's expanding for all kinds of things. Thank you, Facebook user. We can't see your if you're. I think you're commenting either. I think we're just streaming onto Happy for Change, so we shouldn't be in the group. But anyway, can't see your name there. If you want your name to be seen, head over to Twitch or head over to youtube.com/happy for a change. Hit subscribe and make sure you hit that little bell so you get notified when we go live or upload new content. We're uploading content all the time. And definitely, if you've missed past shows, you want to see the clips that are there. Super good stuff. Thank you so much for
We
watching,
want to be on,
everybody.
on Twitch so that we can get the gamers and the young peoples and the cosplayers and you know what? If we can convert some incels into vol cells, I'll be happy. You know, that's all I really need. Let's get those
That's
young
really much
folks.
in it. If we get one
Mhm.
incel becoming a vol cell, we know we've made it. Alex says, got your gamer and young person right here. That's what Alex is saying. Right here. Checking off $2. Absolutely fantastic. All right, Tom, today you seem very on fire. You seem like Pepper, you're ready to talk about this phrase, living in the exponential age. It sounds like you got it from somewhere. What's this all about?
So the exponential age is a phrase being coined by Raoul Pal, leader extraordinaire of the Real Vision platform. You know, the
This is
website
your
I talk
cult
about all the
leader. This
time.
is your cult leader,
That's
dear
right.
leader.
Exactly. Exactly. Realvision.com is a website I talk about all the time where they're trying to democratize financial information. And it's information you would only have received after being in the financial industries or stock market for like 30 years. So it's fantastic. I love it so much. It's exactly the subject I like. And he what was great about him is that this idea of the exponential age is that the exponential age refers to how the exponential growth of technology is now affecting so many industries that it's that you can't escape it. Now, it
Mhm.
used to be before that, you know, we had Moore's law, the idea that technology, like a computer, a phone, or whatever, got twice as fast every year. Basically, as the components got easier and easier to make and they got more efficient, the cost came down and the productivity increased with these devices. And we sort of took that for granted. We expect every year phones and computers to be better. Every year we expect fridges and TVs to be better and cars and that sort of thing. The technology that goes into them. But now we're having that sort of increased productivity and efficiency in every aspect of our lives because it's touched the internet and because it's touched on all the things that we use are some way connected to the internet, to the interconnectedness of the web. You have not only information that's traveling faster, but the means of production have also become uh, are in this exponential run. Anyway, so Rob
I
Hall,
remember
we've
I
talked about
remember
it.
hearing I remember hearing how it's probably on Real Vision that I heard something to the effect of, used to think as technology from being separate from the medical field or from education or from
That's
food,
right.
but it's like no, technology is used in so many of the stages that are leading up to or involving medicine, education, food, and all that stuff. It's uh, it's impossible now, or virtually impossible, to find an industry that's not heavily connected to technology in some way, whether that's in manufacturing, delivery, the customer client bases,
Well, at first we thought about the
distribution.
internet really as just a because we were used to television and phones. We saw the internet, and the internet, started off on the phone lines. We saw it as a communication layer, like just as far as just transmitting communication. You want to call someone, okay, if I or you want to interact with someone, you can send an email instead of picking up the phone, that sort of thing. But it actually became a information layer, right? Information was to be able to store on this net on this network where people anywhere around the world were able to access it. That's that's leagues beyond just being able to just talk to somebody. That's leaving information there for everyone else to be able to access. And so imagine everything, education, libraries, historical facts, everything just became part of this layer, and now we take it for granted that we can just access past information anytime we want. My stepkids will
Can
say
I? Can
something
I?
like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I'll just make this one point. Stepkids will say something like, uh, uh, the teacher doesn't want us to use Wikipedia in order to answer a given question. And they'll say, it's sort of silly because we should be able to access it. And this technology has developed so quickly that even you and I, Peter, we understand. Oh, okay, I guess it might be best to learn how to find the information and do this without Wikipedia. But in our daily lives, that's not how it is. In our daily lives, we're not calculating things by hand. In our daily lives, you could just always just look up the information of how to do it. If I hire a new person at a job, I'm perfectly fine if part of that time in the job they're looking up the information of how to do a particular task. Like I don't need to hire a programmer who knows how to program everything. I want to hire a program who knows how to find the information of how to program it and how to
Hmm.
collaborate with other people online in order to troubleshoot the problems. Like I gotta rely that this on the idea that this person has solved this problem 10,000 times themselves, and that's why I'm hiring them. No, get someone cheaper who can hook into the information layer and get access to 100,000 people who have solved this problem. I'm speaking of this like it's another person. Like I'm that guy. I'm the guy who's always like one window open to Google and Stack Overflow and all that in order to solve a problem. Doing it. But
I
so,
was going to
anyways,
say.
that's what's going on.
I remember watching a TED talk a few years back where a gentleman was talking about how we have to rethink how we do math education for students. That they don't have to learn calculus. That they can interface with tools that will. Uh, uh, we have to prepare them for a world where we don't have to use calculators to calculate things because the computers are calculating things because AI is doing it, and that you have to instead teach them intuitive ways for them to understand the concept so that they can use their creativity in order to take advantage of the technology and do more. So instead of teaching kids calculus, he created this sort of slider thing that showed graphs or shapes or whatever that as they changed it, changed the shapes of things, the visual things, which was far more appealing to especially young kids to understanding math as opposed to laboring them with calculus and then most kids being not interested in math because it's too heady, it's too blah blah blah, and then and not moving forward with it,
Well,
not getting
haven't
a
you
grasp
found,
of it.
Peter, that in your life that it was after you're faced with challenges in work or whatever that you needed to do,
Yeah,
that then if you went to study the
yeah.
information, it was way clearer to you because you had real world, concrete examples to fall back on. Like now, I'm studying more calculus after being in the financial markets, after dealing with charts, after dealing with these things where, oh, okay, now I'm understanding how algebra, trigonometry, and calculus all work together in order to solve particular types of problems. Like before, I couldn't have told you before in what circumstance should you use trigonometry versus calculus,
Mhm.
or tell you what's the difference between differential and integral calculus. Like what problem does it actually solve? I had no idea. I didn't know that sine waves and cosine waves are sinusoidal waves are part of our everyday lives. and that it helps you predict things into the future. I had no
Mhm.
clue, and it wouldn't have mattered. Like it doesn't matter that I learned that in school. It didn't matter until I needed to solve a problem. So this problem first, and then figure out the tools in order to tackle it. Is what our new technology. That's why it's like people now is like when they say they have this idea that they don't have the credentials in order to do something, which is
Mhm.
so backwards, so backwards. Start tackling the problem that you want to tackle, and then you'll develop all the knowledge you need in order to achieve it.
We have a few comments here I want to address. I think it's going to get you going here. We have a Facebook user who says, her name is Maggie, it sounds like. She says, "Got your older, wiser person here." That's her response to the young gamer that Alex commented. "Got your older, wiser person here. Nurse Maggie is my name. Unfortunately, we can't escape it. She hates technology. Makes my person time with patients less personal." So, I mean, there are some downsides to technology, that's for sure. There's so many things that you lose when it comes to the difference between in-person experiences and online and telepresence. But I will say that technology is still evolving, and that the state that technology is existing today is not the state that it's going to exist in 5 years, 10 years from now. What do you have to
Well,
What do
there's
you have to
always
say about
this. There's always this. The technology develops, and until it becomes more seamless, it feels like you have this distance between you know the other person. So, for example, the difference between faxing something to somebody versus sending the actual item through the mail. The difference between sending someone an email and sending them a handwritten letter. So I remember our mother sitting down and writing handwritten letters to people,
I
and
have?
seeing this delicate sort of personal touch to it. But then there was all kinds of shortcomings we just accepted. If we didn't have time, if we knew how long it'll take to send, the cost for the stamps, editing mistake that you did. I mean, how many letters have gone out where people go, you know what, I don't have the patience just to rewrite this letter. Like it'll go out the way that it is. I'll add a little PS thing at the end of it, and that'll be done. Or if something wasn't worth enough for a letter, like you go, okay, you know, this is a timely thing to send something, and it'll take 2 days for them to get it. I might not do that. So although when we had pen pals in school, it'd be nice to get a letter, from across the world after a week. You that Compare that experience to having a conversation on Twitter with someone right away. How about the group chat that you, me, and all our close uh, our family is in? Um, the conversations we have there, where we're able to share an idea really quickly, and we'll put something in the chat, and you'll say something about it, or Melissa will say something about it, and we can have a conversation going, and we can come in and out of it. Like, tell me that doesn't make us closer than we would have been had we not had that technology. Where once in a while, when I see you, is when we share that information. So once it becomes more efficient to use the technology, then you have this experience where I think you get an even more personal connection with people than you did before.
I know I experienced that when it came to online dating. And I'm not talking about Tinder and whatever these things where there's like two paragraphs and then five pictures and that's the end of the story. To me, that's not online dating. To me, that's like the
That's
equivalent
like
of
going to
being
a
in a
bar.
going to a
Yeah.
bar and picking up the person who's there. That's like it's a step above that. But I remember like OK Cupid or Plenty of Fish or whatever, where you'd write out essentially these essays about who you were. And what I loved about it was that you got to know so much more information and insight about the person, not only in what they said, but in the way that they said it. So that when I would meet up with them, I felt more connected with them than I would someone who, yeah, I get it. The whole discovery and the surprise where you're meeting someone for the and you don't know much about them. But how often does that lead to something that's really great? Like often there's like major things that you don't that are deal breakers that you might only find out a month later or 3 months later or a year later after you've started engaging. Whereas online, people can be more detailed about who they are. There definitely
Well,
are pros.
lasting relationships
Mhm.
often came from uh, uh, interpersonal connection. So, like, you'd have a friend who'd be like, they knew you, and so they could be, and then when they met someone new, or someone in their work or in their entourage, they could be like, you might really like Peter, and so then they would put you together, or a family member might do it, or whatever. And so okay, Cupid like did some of the heavy lifting, right? You go there, you answer 150 questions because it's fun to do. The technology makes it fun to do, and all of a sudden you're meeting up with someone who goes, "I read your 150 questions. And I'm so glad that on these 40, I never met anyone. On these 40, we agree completely. Like, let's see where this goes." And uh, how you can easily say that that feels more removed from the other person because it happens through the screen. And a lot of people do that. Like they're just stuck in their homes, and they're just interfacing with the world through the screens. But we're advocating like you make that connection through there, and then you move into the real world. You complete the circuit and you move into the real world. You don't stay agoraphobic. You don't stay locked behind this black mirror. So I think
When
it
it
can be
comes to the medical field, like what I would like, I mean, of course, my ideal situation, we can talk about that in some other time. But what would be cool is that if we can use technology to offload a lot of the more simpler tasks that don't really need an in-person touch, right? Telepresence with your doctor, using a technology to monitor things about our body, uh, uh, to get
ordering
diagnosis.
groceries,
Well, when it comes to
buying
medical
clothes.
community, it's like diagnosis, like simple things that could be done. That way, the doctors and the nurses have more time with the patients who actually do need face to face, that do need to be there, as opposed to loading it up. I remember there was an X Prize. Um, I don't know if it was implemented or if it was just an idea to create a tricorder, right? A device that you can attach to your phone, or even just an app on your phone, but most likely a device that could scan like your blood, your spit, that could tell you a lot about yourself, alleviating the load that doctors and nurses have to do. Then, thus, I think giving more face to face time to the people who really need it. So, look, we're talking around it. There's all kinds of ways. There are people who agree with you, Maggie, that the personal touch is very important, and I don't think as human beings we're ever going to truly want, or most people will truly want to disconnect ourselves from that human touch experience. But refining it so that once you get to that experience, it's polished and efficient, and you have all the information. I think it's good because the stories that I've heard about nurses or doctors, whatever, where mistakes occur because of a lack of information, because of rush, because of like all those errors that occur. It's like the people who argue, "Oh, I really love the feel of driving my own car." Yeah,
Sure.
but most people should not drive their own car. In fact, a lot of the accidents would go away. And for the personal touch, I don't need, a tired doctor leaving a sponge in me. True story. No, I'm kidding. Not a true story. I'm just making that up. Anyway, but I definitely understand both sides of that. Part of what you're talking about, though, is uh, the inevitability of this thing. Like it or not, this is where we're going, right?
Yes, exactly. So the exponential is that it's the rate of change is increasing, that it's going faster and faster. You know, this linear thing, and it makes it. I mean, it makes your head spin. It makes my head spin, and I love the digital space. I love technology, and I there's no way I could keep up. There just really isn't. And Raul is coming to grips with this because um, Raul Paul made a mistake, I think, last spring, where he was still operating in this old framework of like um, of the 30 years of experience that he had in the stock market. And so
Hmm.
he was expecting the stock market to behave in a particular way, and he was preparing for that. And then it turned out the stock market behaved completely different. In the worst recession the world has ever seen, asset prices skyrocketed. So you'd expect a depression. You'd expect stock market to be down, another dot com bubble exploding, another global financial crisis like we had in 2009. Turns out, no, the exact opposite happened. It could not have been higher. And I watched him for months come to grips with this idea of like, what the frick happened? What is going on? And he seems to have settled on this idea that technology came to the point where it's touched so many industries, all the industries, that now the productivity that we were never measuring before, where the price of assets weren't actually tied to the actual productivity that's there. Well, now the productivity is so much that the price is actually too low. The prices were just too low. And so I'd love for you to play this video from Real Vision. Rob Paul's talking to shoot, I should have gotten his name. Peter will pull it up, and who's this technologist, and Raul's just asking this question about the exponential age and trying to get advice of how to think about it. So if you'll just up and
Give
we'll
me a
just listen
second.
to the first.
My mouse for some reason is buggy, so give me a second. Technology,
No
Tom.
worries.
Technology. Okay. Apparently, Tesla's cars are killing people. They're killing people. Sure, those people are asleep in their car. Sure, they're sitting in the back seat, but it's killing people, Tom. All right.
Well, they say science only advances by death. So, I mean, they mean the old scientists dying, but it could also mean that the people who use the technology die. That's an
All right.
optimistic
This
way
is
of thinking about it.
Legend Bill Tie. Is that it?
Bill Tie, that's right.
Right. Share that. All right. We got on the screen. All right. Do I play it?
Yeah, you can stop it if you have any questions. I'll just let you know when we're done.
All right.
Through this hypothesis that I've got, and I know you're exactly the right person to think through this with, is I'm looking ahead and I'm looking at the amount of disruptive technology that's not in ideation phase, but in rollout phase, whether it's autonomous vehicles, whether it's EVs, whether it's distributed computing, whether it's cryptocurrencies and digital assets, whether it's genetic engineering or genetic vaccines, or there are so many things that are kind of all in acceleration or exponential phase that I'm just getting a feeling that we're about to go through a period of change almost unparalleled in human history. I don't know. This is a very big.
What year was this? When did this get uploaded? Do you know?
Last night, I think.
Okay, so this is recent. Okay, I was wondering if it was
Yeah.
2020 or no.
No.
Big way to start a conversation, and we'll talk about valuations and markets and all this stuff. But what do you think? Because you've been on the ground and looking at this for a lot longer than I have.
I totally agree with you. I think we're seeing sort of a bifurcation of the economy. And you've talked a little bit about platform companies, which has been a phrase inside the tech world for a long, long time. So I'm going to mix a couple of things here. One is kind of what makes for an exponential valuation relative to the old stuff, and what are the business models that sort of hyperfuel that. So obviously we're in this kind of tech cycle, or not just tech cycle. We are in a market cycle that the world hasn't seen before ever, with interest rates where they are, PE multiples where they are. So those multiples are going to richly reward things that have high growth. And they'll also richly reward things that have high growth in big markets. So from a tech perspective, I think what's happened is that we've moved from kind of smaller disruption, very disruptive still, but smaller disruptor into like small hardware markets, into massive, rapidly scaling disruption in consumer markets. So if you think about what tech was like when I started in the 80s, it was a world of reshaping the path of electrons in vacuum tubes, so silicon. And yeah, there were some good sized markets there, but the rate of change was slow because it was physical production of things. And then it moved to kind of, a little bit more hardware devices, software, and then it was all B2B. It was all technology being sold to technologists. Now, when there's a technology change, it can hit 1 billion consumers in a matter of months. That wasn't possible before. So you have this combination of the market effects rewarding things that grow. You have markets that are exponentially bigger than they were 20 years ago. And then you have rates of growth that are like 100 times faster than they used to be. It's all kind of adding up to what you're talking about. And you mentioned platforms, so I think there's a total.
So here he's talking about the idea that traditionally, up until this point, what the business cycle was like was that you're trying to build a business that can generate cash flow, and you're trying to borrow money so that you don't have to use any of your own money, and you borrow the money, you build this thing, and then you finance the growth of your company by borrowing more money. Now, because interest rates worldwide have been trending lower, so every year on average, the cost that the so imagine you had a credit card and they're charging you 20% interest on your credit card, but next year they'll only charge you 19% interest on your credit card. You can get a new credit card for 19% interest, and then the year after that it'll be 18, and so on. Then that means every year you can get a new credit card, max it out, and then get a credit card next year and take that money to pay down the interest payments on the card before. Not pay it off, but pay down the interest payments on the card before. And you're like, Tom, but if I take if I use my new card to start paying down the old interest payments, I'll what am I going to do? Well, don't worry, because next year you're going to have another card, and that could pay down the card you just got now. And you keep doing that, and keep doing that, and keep doing that. And this is a way that rich people get richer. This is how, when we talk about crony capitalism, this is what we're talking about. They're not allowing the system to clear out companies that shouldn't exist and let bankruptcies occur. These lower and lower interest rates, manipulated interest rates, make it so that manipulated by governments and central banks, make it so that those who have money, those who use the original debt in order to build up assets, now they could go to the bank and go, look at all these assets that they have. Give me a new loan at an even lower rate. And if you don't have any assets, right? If you're poorer, you get poorer still because you can't borrow the money because you don't have any assets in order to borrow. And so this is the business cycle we're used to. They borrow until there's a big problem, there's a big collapse. It collapses, interest rates go back up for a little while, and then it comes down again. So it's this sine wave that we were talking about before. Well, now we're down to the point where interest rates are basically at 0% interest. That means if you lend someone money, you lend someone $100,000, they pay you back $101,000. It's like, well, why even be in business? Why am I going to risk giving you $100,000? Before I was giving you $100,000, I was getting $120,000 back. Now you're telling me I'm going to get pennies. So the borrowers can borrow and the lenders can't lend. So they're like, well, what are we going to do? All right. So that's the state that we were in, and Raoul Pal thought, okay, now that we're at the zero, well, people aren't going to be able to borrow money anymore. Well, then it turns out that in the state, after this coronavirus hit, the markets had to reprice this idea of what are things worth. And when they actually looked at that, it turned out any industry, any company that had integrated tech properly into their system was now worth a lot more than anything else. So if you were selling, you're a store and you were selling sofas, right? Well, you're selling sofas to new families, but you're not doing that anymore because the birth rate is down. People weren't there was no foot traffic anymore, right? So during the health crisis, so people aren't going to buy a sofa from you, or they might have bought it. They're going to conserve their money because they're like, they don't know where the next paycheck is going to come from. So the store that sells sofas or furniture is losing money on the street. But Microsoft isn't losing any money because now more people than ever are using their electronic devices. They were already using a lot before. We were already in this. We're all using technology more and more, and the health crisis increased it even further, right? Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, all these things, people use more technology more. And so that's why prices skyrocketed from the lows of March 2020 to like all-time highs now. And so Rob wrapped his head around this. Wait, when we started looking at it, you'll notice that there's not just those big companies that their prices skyrocketed. All the companies that integrated technology within their business model did the same. And so what Bill is saying here is that before it was like in a recession, you wanted to give money to the little guy because the big guys were big and shaky and who knows what would happen. Now it turns out that no, the big guys can afford to integrate disruption into their system. right? When Google started, Google was a small company disrupting the search industry, the online search industry, so that Yahoo's directories went to the sideline. But now the little guy, they don't need the little guy. Now Google's big enough that if there's a disruption in the search industry, they can try to integrate that within what they have already, send it out to billions of people they're already connected to, and get even bigger still. So it's like, holy shoot. So you're telling me that the big are just going to get bigger and everything's going to bleed in? I mean, you have Facebook that started off as a college dating website is now doing virtual reality. They're doing gaming. They're trying to create their own currency. Apple is inside in security in gaming still. Gaming's going to show up everywhere. Computing, phones, like they're everywhere. That's not just one thing anymore. All these tech, all these industries where tech is involved are exploding. Travel
But you
industry
don't
for
think that
anyways.
they're exploding mostly because of um, what's the term? Well, because of government interference, because of because of the regulations and the powers that the governments put, that makes it so that the smaller guys can come up. Because what should naturally happen, especially in a technological environment, in a fair technological environment, is that the bigger you are, the harder it is for you to change and to maneuver. You're not as nimble relative to a smaller company. So if a smaller company had the same open road that a Google had, or that any of these large competitors had, that they would be, by virtue of being smaller, more capable of accessing the newer technology and providing something to people that would that would outshine the bigger giants. So aren't they becoming? Isn't the exponential age occurring in these industries because of corrupted government?
So that was the expectation for a lot of people,
Mhm.
myself included. Like that's what we figured. What it seems to have turned out to be is that the level of productivity unleashed by new technology, I'm talking about the hardware technology and also the software and the
Mhm.
understanding of it, that productivity was not being properly counted. And that what was going on was that the government behavior seemed like the regulations by governments, the favoritism, the lobbying, uh, might have um, might have made specific types of companies more likely to stay around, but it's not what makes them grow so much. So, for example, those government regulations has made GE and AT&T stay around for a long, long time, but
Mhm.
they're not growing at an exponential rate. They're just like these zombie companies that are still going because they keep borrowing money at lower interest rates. That's what you're talking about there. But what's going on with GE and AT&T is not what's happening with Tesla.
Mhm.
Tesla's growing at an exponential rate because they're ostensibly a car company, but not really a car company. They're a technology company. The technology they're developing for self-driving cars, the AI required, those that technology can be used for so many things.
The batteries as well.
For well, voice recognition, problem solving for AI, like the components for them can be used for so many different things, and the cars that they're making is just the excuse to develop the technology. In
Mhm.
exactly the same way that video game companies, you think, oh, they're making video game. Yeah, well, they had to make the technology necessary in order to make the games more immersive.
Mhm.
The the God of War, Grand Theft Auto game that you're playing is just an excuse for the development of the technology, right? When PlayStation is selling, or Xbox is selling you, they're trying to sell you a console, the gaming console, right? And so they have to make games good enough for you to buy the console. That was like the whole idea before. They're not going to buy this console for $800 if we don't sell them a game.
Mhm.
And then it turned out once the technology got to the point where the games were now on the cloud, and you don't have to buy the physical discs, and they could have their online store, and they could offer discounts all the time because they don't have to coordinate with retailers all over the place. They have this technology platform. Then it became Xbox figure this out. Hey, wait, we don't have to try to sell them the console for a high price. We They pay us a subscription fee, and then all the games we make, let's give it to them like Netflix at a subscription cost. So let's give the box away. Let's give the box away as low price as possible. Before they're trying to jack up the price, let's sell it for $800, $900, $1,000. Now they're like, hell, give it for $250 if we can. Give it at cost if they can give the box away. It's like how printers, like give them the printer. It's the ink we're making money on.
Mhm.
And so it's the technology so if you consider like the distribution of movies from Netflix, if you imagine all the jobs that was required before to staff blockbusters, print the DVDs and VHS, put it on the shelf, the insurance around it, the security, the logistics, all the logistics of that, compared to store it on a server and send it to people directly to their TVs. That's what I mean when I'm saying that the productivity that was there was not properly being accounted in the price of things. And
That makes
so
sense.
Raul is coming to terms with this idea that, holy shoot, like all these industries that are going to be affected by anything that has this technological wave, this network effects, there's going to be no stopping them. There's no reason
Well,
why
new
the
technology
price,
will stop them.
but they'll easily be absorbed within the network. It's sort of like, imagine if when you had your phone, the feature phones before smartphones, when you had a feature phone, if a new phone came out with a new feature, so your phone doesn't have a camera, but that one does, or this one has the internet but no camera, whatever, you had to get a new phone in order to get this new feature. But now on your phone, you can just have a new app that gives you a new feature,
Mhm.
right? And so the integration of the new technology. So now if there's a new AI, well, Apple doesn't have to sell you a new phone for the new AI. They could just integrate it directly within into the phone. They can take advantage of this technology. If there's some network out there, a new type of music network out there, they don't have to deal with radio stations and radio towers. They can put an app on your phone, and now if there's a new way that they're distributing music, whether it's on for crypto or analog or what, then you have access to it now. And so Apple, are all these technology companies, are all not just technology companies, companies that have integrated new technologies. They can deploy. This is what Bill was just saying. They can deploy disruptive technologies, disruptive innovations to billions of people immediately. They don't have to themselves be disrupted.
So what you're saying is that things are going to change.
We're in an age now where this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Like, I keep staring at my cell phone, and you and I, we talk a lot about this idea of decentralized companies, right? So
Mhm.
imagine you're a person and you're selling something on Etsy, right? Your phone, and now between your phone and your computer and you have access to um, virtual assistant, graphic designers, web designers, right? Through Fiverr, you have access to your own accounting, because you can use software for accounting that'll help you do. You don't need to have an accounting working for you. You can get access to law information on certain sites. You have access to a distribution network. All right, through Etsy, you don't have to deal with shipping and operations and all that. You just have to focus on creating this product that you want to sell on Etsy. Well, that's like you're a whole company. If you in your small town, in your town, not I'm not even talking about you're trying to be some multinational thing with chains all over the world. If you just wanted to set up a bakery in your neighborhood and sell cookies, you'd have to go through a huge amount of hassle in order to do that. To get the money necessary to build a brick and mortar store, in order to test the recipes out, to pass FDA uh, rules, and you have to go through a whole thing. You have to get insurance, a whole thing, just to set up a store to sell cookies. Well, now you can just sell cookies online. You can actually have a cookie selling business without any of that hassle. So that's what I mean by that. The exponential age has unlocked possibilities now that we're like, wait a second, we have not been calculating properly what things are worth at all. At all.
I find that people truly, truly undervalue this thing here, the power of this device. So much of the internet for people is Facebook and maybe Instagram and something like that. So much of what their phone is just a camera. They can take pictures of their friends and family. They can go on social media. And I think to myself, you can edit videos on these things. You can design things. You can start a company with this. You can get education with it. Like this device here, I used to dream about a tricorder being created. This is damn near better than in so many ways more
Absolutely.
useful than a tricorder is. Like they used to beam down to the planet and they'd be like, "Oh, there's life forms around." I know all the life forms around. I know their bios and details. I know the
There's no
companies that they
Angry
have.
Birds on the tricorder.
That's right. It's absolutely crazy. And if you don't get it in your mind to start truly appreciate, we talk in self-help, we talk about appreciating things because appreciating is a way to mine value from your experience, right? You're appreciating the wonderful day, you're going to get the therapeutics from that. You're appreciating conversation from someone, you're likely to ask certain questions that might lead you to certain things. But there's whole aspects of life that I find that not only do people not appreciate it, but there's like a fad now to on purpose not appreciate them. Oh, technology, oh, or your smartphone, oh, social media. Just because people use these things in a way that destroys their minds and their lives doesn't make them not incredibly powerful and deserving of some respect and appreciation. And the more you can start appreciating these tools that you're having, the more you're going to be able to do. And when we talk about just saying the more you'll be able to do is such an understatement considering the
It's Peter.
exponential growth of things
That's right.
that it's absurd. Like, I, imagine having a kid, all right? I would be more interested in this kid knowing how to game and use their devices than school. I was thinking about this for the past few days now. I go, what if I have a kid? What would I value them knowing the most? This thing in school, or how to create using the wonderful tools that we have available to us? Never mind the tools that we're going to have once this kid's old enough to do stuff. Like
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
priority is no longer like school, especially if you're living in a country where the debt goes up because you graduate in college at a $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in debt. And what are you getting for this?
Okay, so
The
this is
focus really has to be. I don't even know what the future is going to be and what we should be guiding people to do, but technology has got to be a huge part of that.
so Bill mentioned in that video this idea that this bifurcation that's occurring, and bifurcation is the splitting off into two things, the two paths. So they were talking in that video the path of technology, but there's the dark side of if you're working in an industry or you have a business or you yourself are not taking part in this technological wave, then you are. It's not just that you're not going on and life is going to be as normal. You are going to be crushed, destitute. Like your options for the future have dramatically lowered. It's akin to like when l- getting a job now and not knowing how to type, right? People are like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm assuming you can type. It's like if said I don't know how to write, but I can speak real well. It's like, what the hell did you just say? And so learning how to type is basically the analogy is that you want to be computer literate, right? But there's people whose whole their whole life right now, they're going about their whole life, and there's 99% of the productivity tools they could be using, processes, tools, apps, connection to people, whatever, that they're not, and they're not even realizing that they're worse than illiterate
Mm-hmm.
because they cannot. Not only do they not know these things, they don't have access to these things. If they did have access to them, they don't have the experience to know how to integrate it into their life, right? We all know these people. Some people who be like, "Oh, try this app," and they try the app and they go, "Oh, I couldn't figure it out." Well, figuring out how to use new technologies is crucial in the same way that figuring out how to use a browser to navigate the internet was crucial in the 90s, right? Uh, it's going to be sad the people who go down the other path where, I mean, Peter, they're going to have no way of making their money. They're not going to have any savings for retirement. They're not going to be able to keep they're not going to be able to generate the cash flows that they need, the knowledge that they need. They're going to be this underclass, and there's
In the
this huge
Elysium.
swath of that happening. So, for example, during this, one of the things we told everybody that we knew at the start of this the health crisis, we thought it was going to be it went from 2 weeks to 3 months, right? That was going to be the thing. Oh shoot, there's not a 2 week thing. We're not on vacation now. It's going to be a little bit longer. A little did we know. And what do we tell everyone? Do not waste this time.
Mhm.
Learn something new, develop a new skill, read more books, expose yourself to new technology. We told everybody that we knew this, is that you will regret it bitterly if you come out of this and you didn't use this time. And there's some people who, in that 3 month period, they just let us slide. They're like, we'll be back to normal in a few months. And now it's more than a year. And there are people who have a year's head start on a new way of operating in the world. Whereas there's people today struggling to turn on Zoom and get their camera working in order to talk, right? Job interviews are being done this way. Dates are happening this way. New types of education happen this way. And you could poo-poo it all you want. If you don't know how to use your phone to access to regularly talk with other people, if you don't know the etiquette of how to deal with things online, if you don't know where to go to solve problems, technical issues that you have basically it's as if you lost a year of your life, and you're so far behind. And so this bifurcation is dangerous. It's where we're getting this thing of especially in the United States, where this bifurcation is like super pronounced because they don't have the social aid from the government. Super pronounced because there are people who are behind now who will never catch up. There are people who they didn't learn anything new, and they're also $10,000 behind on their rent or mortgages. And as soon as the eviction moratorium is up, that's it. There's no I'm going to make it up. They're done. There's a reason why the homelessness problem in the United States has increased dramatically. The number of people who are going to be living in their cars is going to be horrible. And it's not going to be living in your cars like living in your cars when Detroit went bankrupt 20 years ago. It's not going to be like that, where at least your car is driving from place to place. You can get an interview for a job. They're going to be like, if you do not have the internet access to this information and knowledge of how to use it, we don't need you. We won't need you, truck driver. We're not going to need you. We're not going to need you, teacher. We're not going to need you, lawyer. They're not going to need you anymore.
And what's worse about this is that so right now there's this big conversation about the minimum wage, and there's also a problem with incentivizing potential workers not to work by staying at home. You know, uh, the politics around that, like you have your own politics about that, okay? Like people go, oh well, if they can't pay you enough for that, unemployment is worth more than you going to a job, then they should pay you more. Look, I'm not arguing. This crisis and it I think has accelerated the interest and soon the adoption of automation and technology in businesses like retail, fast food, customer service, truck drivers. There's, I bet there's a lot of companies right now in the dark going like, how do I automate this thing? Because there's no way I'm going to be able to one, deal without having my workers, or two, pay them double than what I was paying them before, or whatever. Like there's this, we talk about the fourth turning, right? About the crisis. I keep thinking, was the COVID the crisis? Was that the crisis that the fourth turning? Was that the crisis that that this thing was alluding to? And I was like, oh, it doesn't seem big enough. It doesn't seem big enough. The technological domino that the COVID thing hit is way more cataclysmic than COVID itself, because the rush to technology in every industry. Tom, I did an interview with a lady, Deanne Dupree, who was doing groove dances right before the pandemic. She's a group dance facilitator. No, she's doing it online, right? She had to go. She made the change quick to go onto the internet, and she plans on continuing this even when the pandemic comes to an end. The rush to technology, even we're like scrambling. We gotta like we were doing events and people meeting in person. And I was like, none of our conversations are about in-person meetings at all. Like
At all.
we're not looking
You're
for
not even
spaces.
waiting for that.
Not even waiting for that. We're assuming that's all like just gone. The rush that's happening towards technology, and I can just imagine the McDonald's of the world and all the stuff. Like, oh, in the next 3 years, this has got to be buttoned up. We got to like not need the workers. You know, whether you like that or not, that's what's coming. And if you don't know how to be create yourself, if you don't know how to find a way to monetize the things that you do, and if you're not even interested or creative enough to like engage with learning stuff, there is no more backseat. There will be no. The backseat is where you live now, like in your car. If you got that, like
Peter.
go buy yourself a tent, because tent prices are going to go through the freaking roof, because that's what's going to be happening. It's freaking Elysium over here. We're going to have Matt Damon freaking finding secret ways on top
Yes.
of the
Yes.
getting onto the space
Peter,
station, because
6 months ago, if let's say COVID disappeared, no worries whatsoever. No one's worried at all. They cured it. It's done. 6 months ago, we would have considered, okay, now let's go ahead and put on events again, and now let's do it like how we were before. Now, if they cured it all, I'd be like, oh, but I still want to find a way of using the technology in order to make it
smarter.
better. There's one thing I wanted to just bring up.
Well, one of the reasons is because of how limiting physical events are. All the legwork and energy you have to put to get people into a physical space. Like, yeah, we're having difficulty getting people online, but that will resolve itself. Getting people in the physical space, and then the limitations of the physical space, and then we're only having access to the people who are in our network or in our city. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, if you can have a cookie company and sell things in your city, or have a cookie company and sell it worldwide,
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
That's right. So I was this dilemma. It's a funny dilemma. I mean, people, your diamond shoes are too tight and your wallet's too small for your 50s sort of problem. So on my YouTube channel, I gave myself this challenge of turning $100 into $1,000. Because I saw all these people's videos online about flipping their money, and it was really annoying me. It was a bunch of young people and this, and I'm turning this penny into a $10,000 or whatever, and all it was is that they were capitalizing on the visibility that they have on these networks, right? Or they're using scam artist tactics like affiliate marketing and purchasing fake Instagram accounts to promote their things or whatever it is. And it was annoying to me because if you follow the information in these videos, they suffer from survivorship bias. Just because some people succeed in doing it doesn't mean that the thing is good to do. It's sort of like lottery winners will tell you to buy lottery tickets, but it doesn't mean that that's a good strategy for winning the lottery. And so I was like, no, I'm going to show them. I want to show how you can use the proper principles in order to turn $100 into $1,000. And in the classic Tom way, I decided I'm going to do, because I have 4 base ways of making money. That's
what are those
trading,
4 base ways, Tom?
Trading, so buying something low and selling higher. Transformation, where you transform a knowledge or a physical thing in something, like cooking, making something and then selling that thing, or making a piece of art or a piece of music, or being a web programmer, whatever it is. You're taking something and you're transforming it and then you're selling that thing. Appreciation, where you buy something and over time it increases in value. Or interest, where what you do is that you're lending something out and you're getting money for lending that thing out. So imagine like a Airbnb. You buy a property and you're renting out the space, and now you're getting money on it. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do these 4 ways. So I'm gonna do $100 in each one. I'm gonna turn the $400 into $4,000, and then I'm gonna show people how to do it. And I was imagining this 8 to 10 part series over the next 6 months, a year, showcasing how this can happen. And then in my and I kept looking for ways. I was like, I want to show a way that's reliable, that anyone can do from anywhere. I didn't want to just like this thing where, oh, go to your local thrift store, find things that are cheap and sell it for more, or some people are, you buy things that are illegal in other countries, you buy them here that are legal, and then you sell them there abroad because people will pay more in order to get it. I didn't want any of these things. I wanted things that, whether you're in Denver, Colorado, or whether you're in Montreal or anywhere, that you should be able to do it or have an expectation to do it. And I also didn't want it to be specific to like some people like in New York. There's tons of these videos, turn $100 to $1,000, because they have a million places they could go to try stuff. And someone would be like, oh, I went to go do this medical study at this clinic, and I went there and they I did the survey and they did this thing and they gave me $85. Okay, I'm up $85. Oh, and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's move on to the next step. Yeah, if you don't live there, if you live in a town of 2,000 people, like that's not going to help you out. So I didn't like any of those things. So I wanted something that could be more ubiquitous. So I settled on this idea that I have to follow where the flow of money. Where's money at? And if I find where the flow is money, then is the idea of tapping into that stream in order to get what you want. Well, buddy, I did that. That's one. And the technique that I used, which was in the crypto space. Actually, I did a number of things that worked out. The rally tokens, purchasing a person I was planning on it to appreciate. I thought I was going to buy these tokens, and slowly over time they'll inch their way up in value. Well, it went up. Some of them went up 300% in value in the month that I had them. I was like, oh shoot, with no volatility, like it wasn't even difficult. But then in the crypto space, there are these pools of money. There's so much money in the cryptocurrency space. You probably heard this like with Dogecoin, but Dogecoin is like the king of them all, the most popular, between Dogecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin. People go, I think that's what the crypto space is. No, there are thousands of crypto tokens for all kinds of different use cases, and this money sloshing around and moving around. So I figured, hey, wait, I have a mechanism. I think I have a mechanism to detect where money might go. And I did that, and like, man, I smashed my goal of $4,000. I went way beyond that, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's a fluke or whatever. And then I did it again, and I did it again. I mean, I was sitting here, and on a mistake where I didn't even do it properly, I made 56% on a trade that I wanted to do. So I was like, oh shoot. I have to explain to people how to do this, because I don't want you to go from thrift shop to thrift shop or on eBay hunting Pokemon cards to flip when there's so much money to be made here, right? I felt like, but I was like, this is not
how reliable is that?
It's very reliable to be able to detect flows of money and try to capitalize on that. I'm not saying that everyone will succeed. I'm saying that with the proper knowledge and practicing properly and the right risk management tools, you can absolutely succeed. And
all right, sounds like you're selling a program, Tom. Okay, how much is your plan cost? How much is your program cost? How do I sign up?
Well, that was the thing. One, I'm like, why am I spending time making a video about it? We always had this conversation like, oh, if you're making so much money, why are you why do you need to sell anything? I go, yeah, why do I need to do any of that? But I want to help people do it. But the other part is that it requires this understanding of technology, right? And I have to explain these steps to follow that they're not difficult to do, but they require a significant investment of time and of your mental energy in order to understand it. So like, I could do it in one video, but it's not like sexy and attractive. Like, it's like this tedious thing, because if it was easy, the money wouldn't be there. And so the way I've been describing it to myself and to people, I go, it's like I heard that there was an ATM deep in the woods, 7-day trek away, that was spitting out money. It was just spitting out money. And you only heard about it because every now and then a guy passes by, he's like, where'd you get all the money? Oh, this is ATM in the woods. How do you get there? Oh, you got to take 3 buses and go on a kayak or scale this mountain or whatever. Oh, that's why you have all those band-aids on you and you're blistered and whatever. Yeah. But when you get there, it's just spitting out money, and people go, ugh, who wants to do that? But I heard about it, and I was like, all right. So then I do the track and I go there and all kinds of mistakes. But I was careful, and I get there and I go, "This is freaking ATM over here that's spitting out money." What? And so I've just been reeling with this idea of like, oh my god, it's low risk, high reward. Low risk if you do it properly. Very high risk if you do it improperly. Low risk if you do it properly, and a great reward. And the ATM's not going to be spitting out money forever. So it's
Okay,
like,
so
okay,
you say, okay, so there's two ways that I feel like you can do things. You can learn everything, the ins and outs, and all that stuff, or you can just follow the guy who knows the way. And a lot
right.
of tech and things that I do, I go, okay, I can figure out all the tools, but what's Kid Bulga using? What technology is he using? Okay, he's using this type of device. Okay, well now I don't have to go through all the headache of doing that. Can't people just follow you or someone like you and be like, okay, what are you investing in? Let me tag along into that.
Yeah, the problem is that it's hard enough for me to get you and those close to us to give a crap about my explanation.
We don't care about
You're
the
like,
explanation.
they're
You
like,
just tell me
Tom,
how much
who
money
cares?
I gotta put
Tell me
into
what
what,
exactly.
and tell me when to take it out. That's it. But
I
I
have a
think the
friend who
future will be more like that, don't you think? Like, I don't think. I think one of the ways that technology will make things more efficient, it already has, is streamlining information and creating footsteps in the snow that makes it so much easier for someone to come behind. Like if you wanted to start a web show 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's difficult. If you do it today, it's like you can watch one YouTube video and you'll get all the information that you need, all the kits, you'll be able to access it, the links to the downloads, like everything will be there.
Yeah.
So isn't that what this is going to lead to? Finding some efficient way for the average person to not have to, or are you saying they should learn it the hard way because they have to get involved
Yeah.
with learning and getting the cuts and bruises
Yeah,
themselves?
because what they'll learn is not how to get to this ATM in the woods, but how to find ATMs in the woods. Spitting out money. And because it's always going to change. It's changing as fast as we're talking about the wave of technology. It's like really quick, right? And so, but the techniques to find it and to tell, because it's almost like some of those ATMs in the woods are spitting out monopoly money. So you got to be careful that you're not doing all the effort for nothing.
You can buy a lot of stuff
Some
with
of them
Monopoly
have
money
booby
sometimes.
traps. Some of them are surrounded with booby traps. You get too close, you'll fall inside of a pit, and someone will rob you. Right? There's like problems. Like you got to know. And so, my hesitation is I don't want to send people to go off because easily someone could be like, "Oh, I put in $10 and I made $100. Okay, then now I'm going to put 1,000, and so that I can make 10,000."
That's right.
And
That's right.
that would be the worst. That would be the worst feeling in the
Gotta
world.
chase that dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I totally get
that's
it.
what I'm sort of debating with now. But I could even do like there's people who they make a small fund, they make a crypto fund, like a hedge fund,
Uh-huh.
and they go, look, just put your money in the fund and I'll manage it for you and do it for you. Like I'm almost thinking about doing that. There's people who make pretty good scratch doing that. So I get both the benefit of actually doing it myself. It's like, oh, why are you doing it? Because I'm doing it anyway. If you want to be part of it and I want to help people, you could do it there too. Who knows?
If you want to get a chance, maybe if Tom decides to do this, maybe you can talk him into it. Join our Telegram group. You can chat with us. You can do audio group chats with us. You can have us in your pocket. You can ask your questions. Hey, maybe you're out there in the wilderness trying to figure out how to find this ATM. You might want to ask Tom about it. Okay, ask Tom about it.
Well, definitely on
right?
the Telegram group, I'll be willing to talk about it more than put the effort into making a YouTube video.
Of course, we are not financial officers whatsoever. I'm not giving you financial
Advisors.
advice. Advisors.
I am a financial officer, but I'm not a financial advisor.
You are a financial officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
Hands up.
in
Hands
League
up,
of
don't shoot.
Legends,
Oh,
in League of Legends, I have a title financial officer. Yeah.
you know what? Those are the titles that are worth something. Anyway, if you like Jumpstart, if you like this conversation, if you want to learn how to turn $1 into $10 or $1 billion,
Nope.
apparently Tom is just
$100
making
to
money.
$1,000. I can't turn $1 into $10. I don't know how to do that.
You can make sure to go over to youtube.com/happy for a change, become a subscriber, click that little bell so that you know when we go live. Maybe you're watching this on Facebook right now, but we're not going to be on Facebook. Actually, this might actually be our last stream on Facebook. So head over to YouTube, or you can check this out on Twitch. We just started streaming on Twitch today. We'll see how that goes. Homework for today. I got your homework for today. I got your homework right here. All right. It's Ray Kurzweil's Singularity. This is understanding exponential growth of technology. It's absolutely crucial that you get a mindset for this. You don't got to agree with it. You have to understand what this documentary has to offer. So Ray Kurzweil has a documentary called Singularity, and he talks about technology growing exponentially and what's going to happen, big picture, once we get further and further along. Human beings woefully unprepared for exponential thinking. Downright impossible for us to understand exponential thinking, but understand it, you must. So that's your homework for this Jumpstart. Check out the Singularity. You can find it online. I'm sure you can find it online. If it's paid, then go ahead and pay for it. It's worth the
We'll put a link in the description.
We'll put it in the description if we can find it there. All right, Tom, an hour and 10 minutes. All right, pretty good.
Oh, that was just the first subject. I didn't realize that.
First subject. No,
Right.
we merged them two together. The living.
No, I'm
what was it
joking,
again?
Peter. It's called a joke. It's a joke.
Oh, I see. The problem is you have to make it funny.
Well, thank you, folks. You can find us, me online. I'm Sacred Prophet on Twitter, and you can talk to Peter. He is
Bad Guru over there on Twitter. My name is Peter Hartman.
I'm Tom Hartman.
And you're watching
We'll catch you
Jumpstart Live.
on the flippity flip.
No, messing it up again. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. Bye to Alex. Bye to Maggie. Bye to everybody. Samantha Barley selling us some love here. Samantha Barley, self-discovery life coach extraordinaire. That's a woman who knows how to market herself. Heart.
Bye, Melissa.
Bye, Melissa. Everybody, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time.